Hello and welcome to the Bones Horror Podcast. This is our episode 103. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. One that I've really been looking forward to. Getting well excited for the last month about doing this one. So tonight we have Jess with us.
Hello.
And Ewan.
Hello.
And Larry.
Hello.
And it's good to be back. That's my fault. It's been so long. But you could have watched it a few more times, I would presume.
No.
So, after Christopher Robin abandons them for college, Pooh and Piglet embark on a bloody rampage as they search for a new source of food.
Do we specify that this is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey? Can we
Yeah,
specify that? Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
In case
No,
you
Winnie the
like
Pooh, the animated film.
Would
It's horrifying.
have been
Scariest
10
I've ever
times
seen.
better.
I'm just going to say goodbye to Larry as we play the game.
It's like his funeral.
Bye, Larry.
You know, you're the first person I ever shown this place to.
Why am I so special?
Because soon we'll be Christopher and Mary Robin.
Really hate
Should be
that
close
cardigan
now.
or whatever he's
We're
wearing.
not going to find them.
I hate all of this.
Is that not fashionable, though?
Eeyore, we were
Well, it's-
friends for many
I
years.
just don't
They're
get
out
it.
there.
Christopher, we need to leave.
The quality
No.
of why it's
We
coming
need to find
down.
out.
Yeah,
so
mine's so
bad.
mine. So is mine.
I was like, oh no. Don't make me relive this.
This place is kind of cold. Did you say it has a pool?
And that's enough of that.
Yes, please.
So,
Yeah, thank God.
this film was made in 2023. It was written and directed by someone called Reese. And there are some other films in the offering. I think maybe they're remaking Bambi.
Yeah,
they
Bambi and Peter Pan too.
And they want it to eventually be like a possible multiverse where they all exist in the same universe and all going to join up. I think there was an
There's
interview, wasn't it, where they
cash
said
cow.
eventually they want it to be Pooh versus Bambi or something, which I was
Yeah.
just like, fuck me.
I mean, in case anyone doesn't know the context for this film, was it the copyright for the original book, the original A.A. Milne book, which was written in 1926, I think? Copyright for that had expired, so Disney had it initially, and now it was sort of free reign for everyone. And this is sort of the first film that took advantage of that. So that instead of paying any kind of sort of rights to it, anyone could make a film about Winnie the Pooh, as long as Winnie the Pooh wasn't wearing the sort of Disney red shirt and no trousers. As long as it wasn't doing that, it's fine to do that. So this
That'd have been quite funny if Winnie the Pooh running around with his cock hanging out. You know?
Yeah, but that's the other thing is that Winnie's a woman, isn't it? This is
Yeah,
what
Is
she is
it?
originally.
But it's not.
Um,
Is it a woman in this?
Well,
no,
I don't
not in
think
the
so.
Disney
This
films either.
No. So yeah, it's a weird one, this one, because I do think it's one of those where it's the idea is a 1,000 times better than the execution, at least in my humble opinion.
Do you think so? We could do something very similar, and that wouldn't copyright this film.
I don't think so. No, I think as long as we're not doing anything from the Disney and we don't involve Tigger, because Tigger came in 1928 and that has yet to be fall away from the copyright. So can't do
may
anything
well
involving
be
Tigger. But Winnie the
other characters.
Pooh, Piglet, and Eeyore, we're fine with.
Oh, it's good to know. So, this film cost 100,000 apparently.
Mhm.
A month ago, I recorded that it had done $4.5 million. So
That sounds about right.
it's some money.
It's 5.2 million.
Is it 5.2 now? So
Around the-
we slowed down a little bit. So the Rotten Tomatoes actually went down, which I was quite surprised at. So it was at 4.
Yeah. Now it's at 3, isn't it?
Yeah. And the audience score is 50%. So it's quite similar to Possessor, I think, isn't it?
No.
And I
Wow.
guarantee this gets more views on YouTube than Possessor did for us.
But
Yeah,
I
and
think
that's the sign of any good film is that if it does better.
Yeah.
on YouTube.
I was gonna say, I think that's because it's become very like popular and people saying how bad it is, and also
So
then
bad it's
people
good. So
being
bad it's bad.
being curious to then go and watch it. My curiosity, got the better of me, and I wish I never wasted my time.
Should we elaborate on the story of this?
Well, it's just
Please do, because I've seen it 4 times, so I get it.
Oh God!
So
fuck me.
I also own it.
Okay.
I might
So-
get the mask. I might get the mask for Halloween, actually. this year.
So essentially it starts off, it's like a prologue essentially. It starts off with a quite a well done animation actually of basically
That's where the budget went.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I would have preferred it personally if as you just said, Lawrence, if the whole film was like that. I think if it was done in a sort of weird folkloric animation, which this starts off with, so that Christopher Robin's growing up with all these anthropomorphic animals, and then Christopher Robin leaves them behind, and then the animals become feral, and then don't they eat Eeyore or something? Do they eat Eeyore? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because
a good film with
Christopher Robin basically he was like made friends with them, was bringing them food, and then he goes off to college, and then because he was their main source of food, they then went feral again, ate Eeyore, and then obviously Christopher Robin has now finished college. He's like engaged or married.
Yeah.
And he brings
I
his.
didn't like her. As she was.
I didn't like any of
fiance
them.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they come back, don't they? He's like, I want to introduce you to my friends.
Yeah, Christopher
You
Robin.
don't like that one?
Laura's dead.
Oh, that was so dumb. I want to get onto that later. That was
Hang
so
on.
dumb.
Before we get to that, so the prologue is we'll get the prologue, the animation prologue, and then Christopher Robin brings his fiancée or wife to the 100-acre wood in order to introduce him to friends. But they go to this place, this sort of like cabiny, weird trailer park area, in which is like really like strange, and then they bump into.
It's in England, is it? Is it in England?
Yeah,
It is
in England,
Yeah.
near Ashdown Forest, which is Sussex, I think, close to where I live, actually, or close to where I grew up. They basically, Pooh and Piglet turn up as sort of pretty much like sort of bulldog breed Englishmen, just wearing masks, basically. And then they attack and kill the wife or fiance, and then they sort of hold Christopher Robin hostage. Cut. I mean, then the titles come up. I think it's Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and it was weird to see the sort of weird, sort of Americanized headlines saying sort of Ashdown Forest and stuff like that because that's quite local to me. So it's quite weird just seeing all that stuff. But anyway, it cuts to a group of girls. It's unsure how old they are. I don't really know if they're teenagers or in their 20s. It's quite confusing.
They look to be in their 20s. But...
Yeah, but they decide to go to this sort of remote house in the middle of the 100-acre wood or Ashdown Forest. And one of them suffers some kind of trauma because she was stalked by someone, and it was it turned out
which
to be a
plays
man.
no relevance into the plot whatsoever.
No, just that she has a trauma, and that's about
it's all
it.
down to interpretation, really.
if you like.
And my interpretation is that this is dog shit.
Yeah,
I'm
hilarious.
sorry. I really,
Larry,
I
it's too
can't
early.
bring, I can't
too
bring
early,
myself. Even hearing it back, I'm just like, this just bringing back memories.
Harry, you'll have your moment of horse shit in a bit.
It's an interesting diversion to me because I in all honesty, I didn't expect it. I didn't expect that the narrative would go from Christopher Robin to 5 girls we don't give a shit about, but that's how it goes. So it turns into a sort of, very to put it generously, a B movie sort of slasher concept. So, 5, I think it is 5 girls stuck in a house, and they're doing all sorts of business. One gets lost on the way, and then she's the first victim.
She was the best actress in the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, the great thing about her is that somehow that, she can whip her top off like really fast and for no reason at all. It's just that kind of thing where it's just like, oh, it's a slasher. Oh, we need tits. We need tits now.
Was this the social media girl, the one that was like obsessed? Am I getting that correct?
Is it the red haired one?
Yeah, no, I think I'm just getting too confused.
Yeah, who was the first one, and Pooh's first victim. Some weird things to say.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's
the one. That was the one I was thinking of. But
yeah,
But this is the one that goes in a grinder.
Yeah.
And then Pooh and Piglet basically sort of when night comes, they basically hunt these girls down in quite sort of gruesome ways, I suppose. I mean, yeah, as you say, one gets their head run over, and
that was harsh. That. And
it was harsh,
to drive as well.
That's true. That's true.
Fair.
I also wonder, given how decent a state the house was in, it's interesting that they've never come across that place before, or that the neighbors that were sort of lending this place out had never come across sort of Pooh and Piglet. I don't know why they just turn up after, or is it that Christopher Robin just like sort of, I don't know, awoke them, and then they I don't know. It's really strange. And then they meet other people. I mean, that was another strange bit actually. Just before they turn up at the house, in that sort of cabin in the woods scenario, they stop off at a sort of disused petrol station. Again, totally ripped off out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This film really wants to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but in Britain and with Winnie the Pooh. The thing is, though, I'm not sure, and I might be wrong on this, but I've never seen a disused petrol station like that in Britain. I mean, they're all over the States because there are large areas of land in the States where there's just nothing, and there are petrol stations like that. But with Britain, it's a very different story.
I've seen one.
Really?
There's one kind of local that's got the old pumps.
Oh, interesting.
There's one actually, not how it looks in this film, but there's one. There was one near Wellow, near Lantford,
right?
Where I used to live. And it had like the old pumps, but again, it didn't look like Americanized or anything.
Yeah, but you see, that's interesting because I feel like wherever you are in Britain, you're not that far from a petrol station. I don't think. I mean, I might be wrong there, but I feel like that's the case.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I feel like that these. I don't know. I feel like I've never come across that in anywhere other than American horror movies. And what's weirder is that it doesn't even carry the concept of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, for those who haven't seen it, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they turn up at this petrol station where this guy helps them, and then later on in the film you realize the guy is actually with the murderer's family. They don't even go that far in Winnie the Pooh. They actually do the opposite, where the people in the petrol station are actually helping out, and then it turns into a sort of like the end of Halloween Kills, where it's like the whole sort of group kind of try to attack Pooh, and then Pooh just sort of murks them at every opportunity.
Is the woman at the end that they try and save, is she the one that was at the petrol station earlier on? Because I don't know why I thought it was.
So.
Yeah,
I think because she's sort of the main. She's the one that's traumatized by that stalker and everything.
No, the woman at the petrol station that walks in at the end when the girl's leaving.
Sorry, yeah. She becomes some sort of weird, vengeful attack person.
Yeah, she's the one who's she sees herself in the mirror and just goes crazy.
Yeah. And then that's sort of.
Fucking hell.
The thing is though, and I was watching this, and throughout I had
You paid for
after
it.
I did pay for it. I don't know how much I paid for it. It might have
Get in.
been about £4 or something on Amazon.
I'll send you
Prime.
£4. Yeah.
Well, I don't mind, but it's But what's interesting to me about this film is that it's been, you know, presented everywhere, and it was. I'll start with some positives first of all, because I think that's always fair. I do wish all the best for the directors and producers of this film, mainly because they're clearly having a great time. You know, firstly by filming it, getting edited, getting it produced, getting it distributed, all out there. And they're having a great time, like touring it around, and you know, with audiences and everything like that. It's been doing well, and the director's clearly going to go on to do things. I'm not sure how long his career will last, personally, but I think, you know, I wish them all the best. And the animation is good as well. Doesn't remove from the fact that this is a dog shit film, because I don't know if you had the same thing, Lawrence, or even Jess, but throughout this entire film, I had alarm bells ringing in my head, sort of in neon lights, just saying student film, student film, student film, student film.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's so irritating when I have to go back to that kind of, because you know, that's often in the past for me watching student films, and you know, lots of student films are great. And a lot of them don't look like student films. Those tend to be the best student films, the ones that don't look like student films. This one just looks so much like a student film, to the extent where you can see all the technical mediocrities within it. So one thing I'm specifying, this may be really, really picky of me, but the scene in which they're all going into the sort of lobby area of the house, the lighting is just awful, where they're just, the faces are all covered in grey and they're just not lit properly, and it's just like, this is not even technically good. This is I mean, there are, to be fair, there are scenes like, you know, in the night when, you know, the fire's going off, you know, some of these are quite pyrotechnically interesting, I suppose. But I was watching it, and I'm just getting more and more bored by the minute, I guess. I stuck with the premise because the premise is so ridiculous, and I do feel like they could have done something better.
I actually really thought that the first time that I was watching this, I thought that I was going to be pleasantly surprised, because I had gone about halfway through, and then in my head I was thinking, like, what a great twist it would be if Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, like, were just guys and they took off their masks, and it was almost like you as the audience are there like, oh, wait, what? So Winnie the Pooh doesn't exist, sort of thing. And then at the end, you have the third act of actually having these feral-like creatures, more like monsters, and it's like almost that these two guys have inhabited that to play off with the story, and then Christopher Robin has actually been captured by the feral creatures. And I thought, I was in my head thinking, like, yes, maybe it's too ambitious. And yeah, no, I was. It was horseshit. You said it perfectly. It looks like a student film. I don't know what it is about it. Like, I can't really describe this, but you know when you have a certain film which is on, clearly, like, yes, I know, with the budget, so you can't, I'm not gonna hark on that too much, because I guess, you know, doesn't mean it'll be good if you give it more of a budget, but you could tell it was limited in very big ways by that. But they're just like, I don't want to be hard. I really don't want to be mean to the actors here, but my fucking God, you know, when you watch something and you're just like, you seriously just take a second and consider what the fuck you're doing, because there were like moments where, like, that it's just so stale, like, oh my God, we should go into that. I hope you're having a really good time. Oh, I don't like fucking petals on the bed. You know, oh, we're moving too fast, and it's like, and then something like, God, it's so short, like, because again, my real biggest issue with the film is the writing, because it feels like someone wrote a first draft of a script and then went, oh, okay, fuck, Winnie the Pooh, murder, here we go. Don't worry about the actual story, because so many things either don't get paid off, or so many things are set up to be paid off in 5 seconds later, where it's like, that would be great at the end. An example being the two girls. They walk into that room and it's like there's petals on the bed, and it's like, hey, do you like it? And then it's like, whoa, we're moving too fast. So this is moving too fast. A couple of minutes later, it's like when all of the shit starts kicking off, it's straight away like, I love you. And it's like, well, that's something where if they had actually gone through shit together, I could have maybe gone, oh, okay, nice development. Another example, which I pissed myself laughing, but not even in like a funny way of like, that's meant to be hilarious, is it's that bit that you played where it said get out on the window, and she runs in and goes, she runs in and goes, oh, whoever did this wrote that on the wall. And it's like, yeah, no shit. Like, like, no, you fucking idiot. Like, what? But that's the biggest issue with it, is that, again, the animation at the start, like, I thought it was interesting, and
Would that have been expensive, do you think?
Well, it depends. I mean, I do think a bit of the budget went on that. I mean, but then realistically, it wasn't anything that is over the top. I actually think that they probably hired somebody who's very good with animation on, you know, whether it's Adobe products or whatever, and probably has put that together. So in that sense, I'm like, okay, but I just thought it was crap. Like, I just really thought that there were so many missed opportunities. I thought that the idea, like, it's two blokes in big fucking lumberjack-esque costumes wearing terrible masks that have no, like, hair on them. They have no, like, texture. They literally just look like... But they
and the
clearly...
washing up gloves.
Yeah, the washing up gloves.
You have to use your imagination.
Oh, no, I'd be... Fuck that.
100 grand.
Yeah, I was going to...
100 grand masks.
But, like... But it was, like, little things. Like, their masks, they would have scenes where there'd be the camera really close up to the mask and you see the ear twitch. And in my head, I was sat there going, you know, which to give it, if I can give it a little bit of credit, I was like, oh, you know, nice touch. But it's so far between that you're just staring at this blank, dumbass mask, like, and it's like, there's a matey under there. Just, I just don't know why they, either I think there's a misconnection with the designs, or I think that they should have, because again, at the beginning when they did that animation, which is why my head went to, oh, is there going to be a twist? Is I saw that as like, oh, they're animals, but they like a kind of humanoid. Like, you know, they're not just a bear walking around that can talk. It's more like, oh, it's a creature almost that he's befriended, and now because he's left them, they've gone even more feral. But then when you see them, they're just two blokes walking around really slow, like, what?
And he obviously taught them to like read and write and stuff, and they could talk before
and
took this vow of silence.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. And I think I think Ewan said it best. It feels like, I'm trying to choose my words very carefully here. This feels like if you just come out of uni and went, oh, I want to make a film. We have a budget with big question mark. And
can I go even further than that? Can I say that it looks more like you've just done a year of film at uni, and you said, oh, let's gather some people together and make a film, like a lot of film students do. And it just turns out into something, because again, as you said earlier, you can make a decent film, or at least talented people can make a decent film from $100 grand budget.
Mm-hmm.
The line is whether you've got talented people involved. Now, I don't want to go off, dissing people who are involved with this film, but the reality is that a lot of the people who are involved aren't technically proficient at what they're doing. The performances are terrible. The writing's really bad, and you kind of wonder what director, how they direct this. Firstly, how they direct this kind of acting, and also didn't they think to do more than one take? Because that's what it feels like. I mean, as you sort of suggesting earlier, it was sort of
and something that baffled me was like, just like, and again, I mean, just to go back on it really quick, I mean, I've said this before on this podcast loads of times, even with the films like in the Insidious franchise, or like, you know, The Conjuring, like fair, I can always say fair play to going out and making a film. So like, hands down for that. And as said, if the sequel, because I know it has been greenlit, if they make a sequel and it's way more entertaining, then again, it'll be like hats off to you. You've listened maybe and you know, rethought, maybe gone over the writing, whatever. But just because it's like, oh, well done, you made a film, my head then can't just be like, oh yeah, no. I mean, this was bad, but 5 out of 10. Like, I just can't. There were just little things like set design. You know, being in the woods and you're filming in the woods. Again, when the film started, my first thought was like, oh, okay, is there going to be like a rundown, like really rundown sort of thing, like Evil Dead sort of style, where like it used to be lovely where they all lived, but now it's fucking looks like a lovely brand new spanking thing in the woods Airbnb sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was just sat there like, I'm so confused. Like, clearly they've obviously paid money to be like, can we film here? But it's so pristine that I was like, I'm so confused as to what this is. And it feels like, to me it feels like I don't know if there were 2 writers or 1 writer, or because I know that there were technically like, there's 2 people were involved, I think. I don't know. But it feels like they've a group of people have either sat down and gone, the rights for Winnie the Pooh are actually, we can do that. And it's like, oh, you imagine if we made like a horror film out of it. And then people have just spat ideas out like, oh, imagine if they fucking ate Eeyore. Oh, shit. Oh, well, okay. Christopher Robin, he's got to be in it. Yeah. Imagine if he's married now. Oh, shit, yeah. And they kill his wife. Oh, fuck me. Whoa, write that down. You know, it's like, oh, but well done. That's not a full film, is it? It's like, oh, well, have you seen Evil Dead and Cabin in the Woods? It's like, yeah. Fucking love those films. So, oh, well, we could have a cabin in the woods where a group, hear me out, of all girls go there, right? One of them's got a bit of a traumatic past that we won't ever show again. And we'll just kill them off one by one, because that's all the audience wants to see. And even the main character that we're going to set up, fuck her story, we'll kill her at the end. Like, that's what it felt like to me. And it just felt lazy. And it annoys me when, like,
that sounds great what you just said. It was a perfect film for me.
But I think the reason it annoys me so much is because there are a lot of films that go so under the rug that a lot of them, where you watch them and like, some of them are just shorts on YouTube, some of them are like, you know, actually they've got a budget behind them, they're produced or whatever, and they never get mentioned. You know, there's a lot of bad films out there, but there are some that you're like, that's really good. Why is no one talking about that? And then you get a film like this, where just because you've got people who are there like, oh, fucking Winnie the Pooh, fucking got to hack someone's brain out. And then 2 seconds later, like, I was watching some reviews after, and a lot of them, I will say, were negative reviews. But you had 1 or 2, they were like, this film is one of the best film 2023. And I was just like, oh, fuck off. Like, go outside then. Jesus.
Goes the real Ashdown Forest in Sussex.
I just want them to do better. Like, just if you're going to expand on it as they want to make it a multiverse. But my genuine point that I cried, it was so funny, was I was watching the credits. And, you know, like when you can skim through and you can just see, like, you know, if you're watching it on streaming or whatever, you skim through and you think, because my brain went, there's definitely going to be an after credit scene of maybe Winnie the Pooh, because he gets impaled by a car at one point. Spoilers, saved you money. But I thought, oh, maybe they'll do like a after credits thing. And they did the Marvel thing at the end where they're like, Winnie the Pooh will return. And I was just like, fuck off.
But this is another thing, is that, you know, I think people are sort of, I mean, I think there are definitely two camps: people who are worried that this is going to turn into a big thing, and people who are excited for it to be a big thing. I actually think it won't. I think this has been hyped up for about a year, I think, or at least a year and a half, because it was such a crazy concept, and I think it was a very sort of clickbaity thing on YouTube where you could see, oh look, trailer, Winnie the
I
Pooh.
know it was all over TikTok.
Exactly.
Didn't they release an image as well? And it was just of Pooh, like in the silhouette, and everyone was like, oh my God. Yeah. I remember we might have talked about it on here as well.
Yeah. And I think since it's come out, I've not really heard anything about it. Or at least so I think the press around it has died down. It's not even a case of so bad it's good. I'm not entirely sure what the filmmakers were thinking when they were making it. I don't know if they were just wanting just to have a fun time, or if they wanted to make something genuinely good. It's quite hard. I think there was some effort during those final scenes, just in terms of like how the sort of action was like sort of choreographed and stuff like that. Clearly they wanted to make something good with that, but it's hard to know what they were wanting exactly. Although there was an interview with the director I read where he was like, you know, lots of people are sort of sick of so-called elevated horror. People want to just go back to normal horror, you know, where it's just silly and stuff like that. And that's, you know, that's a genuine debate, but I don't think Winnie the Pooh is the film to kind of resolve it. I think there are better films you can seek out for if you just want a good time at a horror movie. And it's just, I mean, I will say this: it's not on the same level as the worst films ever made. So if we're going to go into
not at all.
If we're going to go in the territory of Birdemic and The Room and stuff like that, Winnie the Pooh is a notch above that, but it's only just above that. So,
That's
like,
harsh.
well, but this is the thing: is that I feel like at least, you know, at least they did some things right in Winnie the Pooh, but it's only just like they were only a few stupid moves away from being a completely almost unwatchable movie. And it's funny, I think Birdemic critically is rated higher on Rotten Tomatoes above Winnie the Pooh.
It's fun though, isn't it? It's fun.
Well,
I have fun with Birdemic.
Yeah, too. But I mean, I well, to be honest, I don't understand why people love Birdemic unless there are people out there who say that Birdemic is a genuinely good movie, and I just don't get it.
Birdemic, in my opinion, especially like when we did the podcast, which should check out if you haven't watched it.
Well, Birdemic versus Swamp Ape versus Core, wasn't it?
Well, we did. No, we all picked.
We had
to pick. It was Birdemic, Birdemic 2, Core, and was it Swamp Ape? I swear it had to be bird related. I can't remember. But yeah, I think it might have been. But I think with Birdemic, I will agree completely. Birdemic is a much like worse film.
It's barely even a film.
Yeah, but Birdemic to me, and the reason I can like watch it and laugh my ass off, but like actually get entertainment while watching it, is because that feels like a film where a guy has gone, I don't really know a lot about filmmaking, but I want to make a film. Let's get all my friends. Like, let's get people I know and friends of friends I know. Like, that film features terrible CGI of birds dive bombing with sounds of planes going.
So immediately as well, you get like 45 minutes of pretty much just nothing. Yeah. And then it suddenly like cuts to this.
Yeah. So, but like I think the reason why these sort of films, like Winnie the Pooh and stuff like that, because when another example would be like when I was watching this and my mind did stretch to Terrifier. But with Terrifier, to give it a huge prop, is that the first one, I thought, and I've already said this to you on the podcast, I thought it was decent. I wouldn't ever. I know there's a huge fan base behind it, but I actually really preferred what they did with the second one, because they were like, oh, okay, if you've got your first one, which is this is introducing, here's the the crazy clown guy, and he's gonna go, here's some kills. What I liked about the second one, where it kind of understood, like, oh, well, let's build like this lore around this one character, let's add upon it. So I can give it just credit and go, well, they clearly are sitting down and being like, well, where do we want to take this? It might not be everyone's cup of tea, obviously, but with films like this, I think that it just feels like I think it's similar to what you said, Ewan, but I feel like it doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know if it wants to just be a slack B-movie comedy sort of thing, but then at the same time, in other scenes, it takes itself really seriously, as if to be like, whoa, you focused on our plot, and it's like, no, because a minute ago I'm laughing my ass off. I think that's a shame of it. So hopefully, if they are going to make a sequel, well, when they make the sequel, they just hone everything in and kind of course correct maybe a bit.
Well, before we get to Jess, I just had fun with it from the off. I didn't take it seriously because it was stupid. It made me laugh. It was a film. Have a few beers, have a laugh. Don't take it seriously.
Oh, wait, hang on. Hold on.
And I had a lot of fun with it.
Are you under the impression that Lawrence, Jess, and I took it in any way seriously?
Well, I was going to say, I really...
The filmmaking side of it, you are, and I don't have that because I didn't go to uni and do that. And I can appreciate anyone putting anything out there on screen that keeps me entertained. And that's the view I took of it, and I will watch it again. Obviously, there isn't the plot really, is it? And the writing is terrible, but I enjoyed it for what it was. In the same way, I enjoy Swamp Ape, Terrifier, all the things we just spoke about. And that's me, you know that. So, like, you could probably pick films for me, and I'd love it all day long. And then you give me something like Possessor, and I'm like, I'd rather fucking. Honestly, there's so many things I'd rather do than watch that. Oh yes, it's really intelligent. Yes, yeah. Look at the way they shot that film. Yes, like bollocks.
No.
What's going on? Oh yes. No, you won't get it, Kev. No. It's not for you common people, you know.
Oh my god, it's the change of the accent that's getting me.
Fucking hell, can we Winnie the Pooh anytime? So, Jess, what did you think of this film?
I enjoyed it more than some of the other films we've watched, specifically recently.
Don't worry, you and I had the same with what was that? I can't remember what it was. The ghost one, the one like where it was the Japanese ghost one. I can't remember what that was even called. Yeah, Profile.
What's that? Profile?
Oh no, it wasn't. I can't remember what it was called.
You made us watch one with. Oh.
Yeah, with ghosts where they have to go on the internet and then they make the room.
Shit.
I had the same thing.
Oh, I didn't mind that one.
Yes.
There is a remake of that though, isn't there? American
there's an American remake.
Yeah.
Sure.
Always. But yeah, I feel the same way as Larry and Ewan.
Oh.
But most of it. But I didn't hate it. It was funny.
It was funny. It was very funny.
And yeah, as I say, more enjoyable than some films I've seen. But
Can I ask when you say funny?
Mm-hmm.
Did you laugh like at the like the jokes in the film, like like
Oh no, it was funny because it was so dumb. Like in part, Yeah. But I'll give them credit. They've made a film and they've made money from it, and I hope they use that money and hire good people to do their lighting and things next time. Yeah, if you're watching and you did the lighting, I'm sorry.
Just all watching it now, just like
Listen, they know.
That's what I'm
They
worried
know.
about.
Probably one person did it all.
They know if they didn't do it technically. This is like again, what happened with like Lawrence and I at university. You'd make a film and you'd screen it in front of everyone. And when you screen it in front of everyone, you know the mistakes you made. And I'm counting on the fact that all the technical mistakes made in Winnie the Pooh, the technical people involved know they made mistakes.
But it's also a thing as well to add on to that, like not to like, you know, if any of them were watching or whatever, or like I don't know. The thing is that it's just the same as any art. You're gonna have people who love your work and you're gonna have people who don't. I remember when we did our screenings and we put a film up, you like similar to like how you said you'd know the problems of your film, but you also weren't let off with other people telling you certain things, like, you know, like, oh, that the lighting there, I didn't like it, you know, and you just, it's one of those things where you take it on board, and then your next project or whatever, you kind of go, right, okay, well, I'll work on that.
Yeah, and that's true, but when it's unambiguously bad, it's kind of difficult to come back for you. Like you know, again, as I say, you know when you've done wrong. It's different from, say, I'm not entirely sure if that lighting works dramatically with that scene. That's a different kind of thing. Whereas if it's not actually technically right, it's something that's not.
So I've just read that the next film is hoping to be February next year, with a budget 5 times larger.
Yeah.
So they're pacing themselves again.
Yeah, which does worry me when it comes to the writing. It's like, how much time and effort have they actually put into writing this? If it's so soon.
They didn't say, sorry, really quick though, they did say, like, because it's in the interview, I don't know if it's the same one that they're quoting, but they were like, oh, our budget's 5 times bigger and we're going to kill hundreds and hundreds of people.
Oh.
And then they were like, oh, there's other players, like, I don't know if they mean the cast, they must mean the cast of Winnie the Pooh, but they're adding more in, to which I was... Yeah, no.
When they say 5 times bigger, it's only still $500,000, which isn't that much, and they're gonna go full on with it. They might as well keep to a small length, but make it better in that small compact space.
I'm worried as well that when they say like, "Oh, we've got a bigger budget, we're going in for it, we're gonna kill hundreds of people," my worry is like, don't worry about that. Worry about your story. Like, if you get a good script, anything will follow. Like, I don't just need to see 100 people get killed and have still a terrible story where it's just like, I don't know, another group of friends go back and they're like, whoa, there's all the remnants of what happened from the last film. And I swear to God, if it's something like that, I just can't be asked with it, because it's just always this. It's just the trope now of films, of horror, like low budget horror films, where it's like group of friends going to the cabin in the woods. And it's just like, fuck, I get it. You watched Evil Dead.
Or they watch Cabin in the Woods. It's like, oh, yeah, that's a genre apparently.
But Cabin in the Woods was fucking like, it's actually it did something different with the genre.
Yeah,
it was funny but serious at times. Like, I don't know, fucking hell. Yeah, let's rate it.
Let's rate it and move on.
Let's get it over with. This is the longest we've ever spoken about a film.
So I'm going to give it 7 because I enjoyed it and I had fun with it, and that's what I wanted from it. Okay.
For those listening, it's just fingers in his eyes, just sort of.
Larry, how did you rate this film?
What did I give Conjuring 2?
This is what I'm trying to think.
Because Conjuring 2, I really don't like that film, but technically, on a technical standpoint, it's fine. Like, you know, from that sort of thing. So I think yeah.
1.
Well, I'll bump up all of my Conjurings by 1, and I'll give this a 1.
Okay.
Because I laughed and parts made me unironically just piss myself laughing. And I hope that if that with their sequel they change those issues that we've discussed.
How about you? In
It was initially going to be a 3, but after talking at length about it, I think it's got to be a 2 for me.
2.
If Birdemic is a 1, or maybe even a 0, maybe Birdemic, I think it's just I agree. There is some entertainment value in watching Pooh and Piglet savage a bunch of young women. That that is in its own way entertaining, even if it's slightly misogynistic. It's quite entertaining. But once that concept is exhausted, I just don't find it that fun anymore.
I loved it. The way they mixed up at the end with the group of blokes who try to attack him as well.
Yeah, and for an invincible slasher who can't be killed, there's no.
That was like the best part. That was just...
There's no conflict there.
Yeah, and also, but I just remembered as well. Pooh can control bees.
Yeah, bees. I love that. That was in my notes. They threw some bees at them. Off they went.
I forgot that.
Mind control. He's got mind control.
But then what can Piglet do?
He controls the pigs.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean by there's clearly a writer's room, and someone was just like, "Fuck, Pooh can control." I bet there was a bit of this going on as well. Like, Pooh can fucking control
absolutely
bees.
Bees out. Jess, what are you rating it?
3.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Not too bad for Jess. Well, Dan's not here tonight. I don't know whether to do his hot pick or not.
What does the average come to then?
Was it 1, 2, 3, 7? So what, 4? I don't know.
Well, that's decent. So no, 7, 3, 10, 14, 3.5. 3.5 bonus. It's not bad, is it?
Nice.
It's not bad at all. Shall we do Dan's hot pick or save it? What are you thinking?
I cannot remember. I'm not gonna lie. I feel really bad.
It was The Loved Ones, an Australian horror, and I really liked it. Actually, I'd like you should watch it, Larry, because I think you'd like it.
We talked about this on the last one. I was going to, but I think just because obviously where we pushed back, I think I just generally have just forgot. So
yeah, maybe I'll save it.
List.
Maybe I'll save it for the next one because I think I own it now, like many Dan's hot picks. Okay. I'm going to do that trailer thing. Yeah?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Oh, you bastards! Why are you torturing me like this? Why?
Okay. And I just pick a trailer. So here we go.
Not Pooh.
I can see the fear in your eyes. You saw something you can't explain.
This way, rookie. Call's been rerouted to the new station, so it should be quiet. There's an emergency. The station's number's on the desk.
Sure, I'll be fine.
Hello?
It's Pooh.
Told us Captain Lauren's daughter would be joining the department.
Yes, sir. Just want to work where my father worked, even if it's for one night.
He was a hero. Till he wasn't, you know.
Lanford Police Department.
You don't know
Lanford.
Your father was no saint.
Your daddy started something very important.
Tonight
Doesn't
we're
it
gonna
just
finish
give the
it.
whole plot away?
The Temple Baron will bring forth the low god.
So,
It looks all right.
where is it? So, it's called Malum. I think that's how you say it. A rookie police officer willingly takes the last shift at a newly decommissioned police station in an attempt to uncover the mysterious connection between her father's death and a vicious cult. So, looks an interesting one. I was going through all the trailers. I probably need to watch that one a bit more, but looks a bit of fun. Obviously, I've watched the whole thing, but we haven't got 5 minutes to give away the whole plot. So yeah, might be worth a watch that one. Probably end up on Shudder or something, I suppose. Yeah, decent. There you go. So should we move on to what we watched this week?
Sure.
What have you been watching?
No, seriously, what have you been watching?
Oh God, that made me laugh.
What?
It's like, shall we move on to what we watched this week? The thing come up, but your audio came through. Just said, sure. I was crying. I was literally like,
Oh. Okay, obviously it's been a month. I did go and see a band called Eels at Southampton Guildhall, and I had a lot of fun with that. Took my nipple with me. I don't know if any of you know who Eels are. Probably not. Too young. But
no.
That was fantastic. Are you still there, Larry?
I think Larry's died.
Ah.
Larry!
Noises. It's because you know
This always happen.
Right, okay.
It's when the trailers happen. I tell you, it's a curse.
I
Anyway,
won't play
think I'll
more.
be
So
back.
I've got one more to play. Actually, I wouldn't mind playing.
Oh no, you're just gonna kill him off.
Yeah, please no. We're so close to the end.
Okay. So I watched Insidious 1, 2, 3, and 4. You know what they are. Only because I've been watching the trailer for the 5th one. So I went through all those. I like them all. Well, the 2nd one not so good, but like I have fun with them, especially the 3rd one. I watched Paranormal Activity Next of Kin, which is actually quite good. That was on, I think Amazon was offering, is it Paramount? They were offering a week for nothing. And like Orphans on there, the new one, and that's on there. So if you want 7 days free, jump on that because there are a few films on there. I really enjoyed Paranormal Activity actually.
I think I like the first 2, and then I think they dropped off.
Yeah, this one is different, and I think it is actually quite entertaining. It's set at Amish. Are they Amish people? I don't know. Is that how you say it? Yeah, it's set like
Amish.
Yeah, somewhere like that. They just wear kind of old-fashioned clothes and sing songs a lot. I watched The Legend of the 7 Golden Vampires. It's a Hammer film. I don't know if any of you have ever seen that.
No.
It's a
from the 70s or something, isn't it?
well, yeah, and it's set in China, and it's got kung fu in it, and vampires and Peter Cushing, and it's great. It's again, I sit there put it on the big screen and watch that and just relax, and it's fun. So, I think that's about it really, because as I can't play any trailers. No, that was about it. So, I did go and watch a film a couple of days ago. Evil Dead Rise. That's my favourite film of the year so far. I think I'm going again next week to cinema to see it because my mate wants to see it. And I took my dad to watch it. And have you guys seen it? Yeah.
Not yet. No.
Okay. There are scenes in it. I'm in the cinema, and this is typical, right? So we go at 12:30. So I booked 2 seats for me and my dad, and guess what? There's 2 people in the cinema. It's right next to them. So we move kind of to the back, and it's those nice seats that are kind of recline and stuff. So we watch that. But there are scenes in it that just made me laugh out loud, and I don't know if I upset the people in front of me, but when there's certain kill scenes, or not kill scenes, but the scenes where it's very violent, like the scissors, Larry, that just it's just so much fun. I think they got so much right with that film. I think it's a lot 85 rotten at the moment.
It's been rated very well, actually. I haven't seen it myself, but apparently
it's a great cinema
it's a good
film.
rejig. Because I think after the Evil Dead remake in 2013,
this is great.
Yeah, but a lot of people didn't like it, and I think a lot of people were worried that this one wouldn't would be just another try. And I think a lot of critics were surprised that it was actually really, really good. But you've seen it, haven't you, Larry?
Yeah, I was going to say,
got the extended version, haven't we? Didn't we buy that, both of us?
Yeah, no, so I thought you meant of this one. I was like,
oh yeah,
no, we ain't got this new one yet.
Yeah, of course I do. No, it's up to you. If I can go next if you want, because then I can just roll on from what you thought of it.
I would like to do this as a main feature though at some point.
Yeah.
When the other you guys have watched it.
So I with my picks, I guess. And I saw Evil Dead Rise. I've seen it twice.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. I was pleasantly surprised. I think one thing that I really appreciated about it, because I was really worried when I was going into it, because I had a lot of people going, especially like online or just like writing, whether it's in a comment or reading a news article when you're building yourself up for it. Oh, I wonder what first reactions, and then people there going like, "Oh, this is another remake," and I was like,
"Oh,"
I was like, "Why? Why remake? Like, you might." The 2013 one was, in my opinion, fantastic, but you just need to continue with the story. And then obviously watching the trailers and stuff of a different book, I was a bit worried then, because I was like, shit, they are just going to reboot
so
it.
This book's not in any of the other films, is it?
Yeah.
I thought it's now 3 books. I thought this book in the other movies yet, unless it was in Army of Darkness.
Yeah, it was. So in Army of Darkness at the end, there are 3 books, and he's like,
I thought 2 were not real though.
No, there's 3 Necronomicons, and then Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, when they did 2013 one, they were very much like, oh, this is, we still take into account the old films. You can still say they happened, but this is very much a new set of stories that we want to tell. So the 2013 one came out, and then this one's come out, and what I love about it is, it's not a spoiler, but because it's literally in the marketing, but they basically, the 2013 book is 1 book, this book is a second book, and then they're going to make another one which is with the 3rd book, and then I hoping, fingers crossed, they put them all together, have some characters return maybe. But yeah, no, it was really good. I gave it, I think I wrote it in the group chat, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I know I gave 2013 10 out of 10. And my only issue with it, genuinely, was I think they could have gone a bit more with certain stuff. That's all. You can tell that they've sat down and they've gone 2013, that was very...
Sorry to interrupt. The 2013 one that you're referring to, is that the original or the extended? Because we tend to make that differentiation.
I always talk about the extended, but I thought that the original, when I first saw that anyway, I was like, this is great. In terms of gore and stuff, the extended does give you more. But it's still very much you still get a similar level.
Not that much more though, is there?
No, that's what I mean. It gives you more, where you're especially I talked about this when it was me and Kev doing it with Revisited. One thing I didn't like was that they didn't even include the chainsaw really in the original cut, whereas in the extended it's used actually in the film. But yeah, my only criticism was I thought that there were scenes in it where they added a bit of CGI, where I was like, just do practical. We gathered that now from the 2013 one that you can do it, so just do it. But then also there were levels where I was like, just go more. I was like, go really ham with it. There are some really creative shots. I love the door, looking through the door.
The sound was amazing. I thought.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
And the acting as well was just as good. But I think what held it up was the story. I really liked taking out of the cabin in the woods, and I liked the family element. So yeah, that was one film I saw. Second film I saw was Speak No Evil. Ewan, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend it highly. It's I want to say Norwedic. I think that's what I've just said, but I know that's not what I mean. Norwegian. No, I was saying, that's what I was thinking. Nordic, but it's I think it's a Norwegian film. I'm probably got that so fucking wrong, but it's either that or Swedish. But it was really good. really good. If you want to watch a thriller, it's foreign language, and I know they're talking about making an American
foreign.
remake of it with James McAvoy in the lead.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But I can't really say much about it because it would just spoil the whole thing. But it's honestly, I would highly recommend it. The ending made me feel literally sick, which I was just like, fuck me, this is a great twist that I haven't seen in films.
Is
for
this
a long
a new
time.
film? Is it
Newish?
Okay.
It's not like brand new at this moment. It's very much, it's a very similar like A24 vibes and sort of like, indie horror, but
is it A24?
No, it's not.
There was a trailer I saw for A24 film at the cinema. A new one.
Oh, that's made by the two
cool.
YouTubers. Yeah. With the hand.
The hand and
yeah, that's two Australian YouTubers.
Wow.
We're like, we want to make it. And then there was another film I watched, but I cannot fucking remember the name of it. And long story short, it was a British found footage horror film about a group of 3 guys investigating a church that is believed to have had an encounter of a spiritual presence.
Yeah, that's a good film.
And I equally, when I got to the end of that, I thought the twist at the end was fantastic.
I can't remember what that's called. It's a great film.
It begins with B. It's just basically, I was scrolling through Internet Plus. And then basically,
I can't remember what that's called.
Yeah, I wanted to say Boneyard, but it's not called Boneyard.
No.
But yeah, they were my main ones. There wasn't really. Oh yeah, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Volume 3.
Is that all right? I'm not ready to see it, but
no, like I would say, if you like the Guardians films, it's a perfect end to the Guardians, and it is an end, because I worried when I was going in, I was like, oh, here we go, it's going to be like the Guardians will return, but in fact, it was actually a really decent. I would recommend it. I think it's a shame though, because with what Marvel's been putting out, when I saw this film, I had such low expectations, but it raised them again. I was like, oh shit, you can have a good Marvel movie. Like this is really decent.
I suppose it's James Gunn, isn't it, who did the other two, and he's decent, isn't he?
Well, he just openly, like, there. I don't want to spoil it because I know, like, Jess especially.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, really good characters get like really good roundups, and the story I thought was great, and it probably features one of the best villains in a long time in a Marvel film. So yeah, I would recommend.
Cool,
very good. That's me.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, I went to an advanced screening of Beau is Afraid.
Oh, is it good?
The new Ari Aster film. I really liked it. It's a really difficult film to talk about because.
Well, I get it, Ewan.
No.
Okay.
I mean, to be fair, it's not an indictment on you.
I need a few more than one watch. Is that what you're saying?
I think so, because I think I need more than one watch, and I'm seeing it again next week. It's basically, I feel like the sort of heads at A24 were like talking to Ari Aster and saying, okay, we don't really want a horror from you, Ari. We kind of want something lighter. We want like a comedy or something. And Ari Aster was like, okay, leave it with me. And he's brought out this nightmarish 3-hour odyssey, which I wouldn't necessarily call a horror film. As I say, I think it's just a really super fucked up comedy. A bit like Charlie Kaufman. So things like Being John Malkovich and Synecdoche, New York, and stuff like that. It's very surreal. I think Ari Aster's very good at capturing what anxiety feels like. I think you sort of get that not only from Hereditary, but especially from Midsummer. I think, particularly with me, I think that is my favorite of the 3 films he's made. But with Beau is Afraid, it's literally about a man played by Joaquin Phoenix who's middle-aged and sort of lives alone in this like rat-ass apartment, and stepping outside is just he's faced like tsunamis of people just like threatening him and sort of getting in his way, and doing really strange things, and he's unable to sort of cope with that, and he always just wants to keep inside, and that's how it plays. But then he gets some bad news about his mum, and he has to try and find a way to get to his mum's house, and that's what the whole movie is basically. It's him trying to travel to his mum's house, but things just keep getting in the way, and obstacles are basically just people around him, and people were somehow trying to stop him from going and stuff like that. It's a film that's filled with images you can't get out of your mind, and because I think I do interpret it as being like a dream movie, like just a really bad dream. When you leave the cinema, these images just come into you so disparately and so sort of like out of context that it does feel like you've just woken up from a really bad dream. And I think that's the sort of effect it gives. I'm not entirely sure if it's my favorite Ari Aster film. I think I need to watch it again to really go for that, to really sort of work that out. But it's sort of it's definitely his most interesting. It's definitely it's although it covers very similar themes, so like grief, depression, anxiety that have been covered before in Hereditary and Midsummer. It feels very, very different. It's very much like, again, as I say, someone just gave Ari Aster a load of money to do whatever he wanted, and he punked this. There are a few flaws in it. There's a section in the middle that probably goes a little bit too long. As I say, the film's about 3 hours, so I think maybe 10-20 minutes could have been cut out of that. But I think overall it's a very overwhelming experience, and as I say, I don't think I can really judge it properly without seeing it a second time, which I'm doing next week. So I thought it was very impressive and very good. And also with the screening I went to, was sort of introduced by Ari Aster as well. He sort of came out very awkwardly, very anxiously, which pretty much embodies his movies, I think. And he was just sort of saying, well, what can I say about the film? Well, it's surprisingly funny. And he's sort of going through that. So because I'm not sure if he entirely knew that he was going to be like sort of wheeled out, and he was only there for like, I don't know, 5 minutes maximum, and then just went out again. But it kind of shows how hard this film is to talk about. And I reckon once you three have all seen it, I think you'll understand what I mean. It's kind of hard to talk about. Also, there is one scene, not to spoil anything, but it's built up throughout the film that Bo is scared of his attic, or that there's something in his attic that he's afraid of, and that's sort of built up towards the end where you finally see what's in the attic. And I'll tell you what, you're not prepared. None of you will be prepared for what is in the attic. And I was, and the screening I was at as well, there were a few people. There's definitely one person on my row who left about 3/4 of the way through. I suppose I understand why, but there's a bit in the sort of like, it's pretty much like a 5-act movie. It's quite episodic. And in the 4th act, there's something that happened that's just bizarre, just completely ridiculous and bizarre. And I think that was enough for one woman on my row. She was like, "No, I can't deal with this." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. I think there will be people who just can't cope with this film. I also do advise, if you're as anxious as I am, I would recommend going with someone just to kind of share that experience with. Because when I left the cinema, I just full on dissociated to the point where it was like I felt like everyone was an obstacle, and going out in sort of central London with all the like neon lights and stuff, it becomes quite sort of, for someone who has anxiety like myself, it's kind of like so I recommend going with someone if you're in that state of mind. But I would say it's a very good film. What else? Watched Silo, the first episode of Silo, which is on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, I was going to start that.
Yeah, it's quite good so far. Basically, dystopian world in which I think only 10% of the human race has survived, and they survive in these sort of elaborate underground bunkers, and they're brought up on this sort of weird belief that if they went outside they would die, so everyone assumes that it's like a sort of desert wasteland or there's gases, so they'll just die. But apparently there's something actually out there, and it's not what the authority says it is. Very interesting premise. And it's sort of, it reminded me a lot of the Fallout games, You know, when they're all sort of in the vault. Remind me a bit sort of classic sort of platonic premise as well, where it's like your reality is this, and then people discover something outside of that reality, and that's the actual reality, kind of like, you know, like Matrix or whatever. It's kind of that kind of similar premise where everyone believes that it's best to stay inside the silo. It's best just to stay here. We'll all be safe here. Everything outside, it will just kill you. Whereas that turns out not to be the case. And so people who are sort of brave enough to go out there are kind of the heroes, so to speak. It's quite good so far. I mean, quite a good cast as well. I won't be able to pronounce his name right, so I'm sorry. But David Oyelowo, and Rashida Jones from The Office and Parks and Recreation, and Rebecca Ferguson turns up at the end of episode 1 as well. I think she features much heavily. She plays like an engineer, I think. But pretty good. I mean, Apple TV Plus are pretty decent when it comes to their shows. There are a few duds in there, but it's pretty strong so far. I also watched also on Apple TV Plus the film called Still, which is a documentary about Michael J. Fox, and mainly about his Parkinson's disease. Really good documentary. I kind of wish it was longer. It's only about an hour and a half. I reckon they could have squeezed out another 20 minutes, but it's a really, so it basically goes through his history. So, you know, how he got started in acting, and then he was on Family Ties, the sitcom, and then there's a great scene where they try and sort of dramatize what it was like to film Family Ties and Back to the Future at pretty much at the same time, and it just looks exhausting. So he just like gets, you know, wheeled around in sort of these taxis and everything like that, and just have about 3 hours sleep, and then go on set the next morning, Family Ties, and then go on to Back to. It's just looks the same, but the Parkinson's aspects are done extremely well, because I think, I mean, as someone who has a disability, it's quite annoying whenever you get these depictions where it's like, oh, we're all miserable, we can't cope, and then there's like people like people like wanting to elicit tears from like non-disabled people and stuff like that. Whereas this, you know, he makes jokes about it. You know, obviously it's very painful for him, and it's also traumatic, but I think they don't remove from the humor aspect of it as well. I mean, there's a scene when he falls over in front of someone, and he sort of picks himself up, and the person just say, "Are you okay? I'm all right." It's like, yeah. You just took me off my feet, is all. It's just great. So just stuff like that is just really enjoyable to watch, and it was good to, because I don't think I'd seen Michael J. Fox in anything other than Back to the Future. So I haven't seen like Teen Wolf or anything like that.
Frighteners. It's amazing.
Yeah, I did see Frighteners. I don't think I ever finished Frighteners, but
it's amazing.
Oh, Scrubs as well. We had like a cameo in Scrubs, which was good.
Yeah, where he had OCD.
Yeah. But no, it kind of makes me want to seek out his other films. But no, yeah. So that's pretty much what I've watched.
Jess.
I have watched loads of stuff. I've just forgotten everything. But the one thing that has stuck in my mind, because it was traumatizing, was Girl in the Basement.
Yeah, that's on Paramount, I think.
Yeah, it's on Paramount. It's based on the true story, but the actual true story is a lot more traumatizing. The abuse was a lot worse, because I obviously had to read up all about it afterwards. But the film itself is very, very good. Do recommend watching it, but you will be traumatized afterwards.
Is that the one where the family of like with the group of boys?
No, it's where the dad.
That was horrible.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That one's.
No, but the dad locks his daughter in the basement and then proceeds to have children with her. And the rest of the family don't know where she's gone. They just think she's run away.
So a bit sort of Joseph Fritzl sort of.
Yeah, and it is a true story as well. It did actually happen. But yeah, so it's a good watch though. And then I also watched Howl's Moving Castle, because I hadn't seen it before, and it was really, really good. It was great. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to go watch all the others, because the only other film I've seen is Totoro, so I was like, I need to watch all of them.
Only Yesterday was one of my favorites. I've only seen about 3 of them, but Only Yesterday is a really good one.
On Netflix, there's one that's on there now called When Marnie Was There. I'd recommend that one. That one's really good.
I think Netflix has got like all of them now.
Yeah, I think they do. I think a few years ago they just had got them all. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm definitely going to work my way through. So very good. But yeah, that's it really. And I've got a cat. I was given a cat, and he's taken up all of my time. So, yeah.
Oh. Well, we haven't chose a film for our next episode.
I think we should do that one that we just mentioned.
Which one?
The other Kev. Either. I mean, I'd recommend Speak No Evil. Sorry, I'm eating a tablet. I'm sorry.
It's got a mouthful.
yeah. For audio listeners, he's noshing on something especially long,
big, girthy,
succulent.
Has an aftertaste that's a bit questionable.
Did you just say earthy?
Earthy, yeah. Ooh. Very earthy.
Yeah.
Right,
I was going to say either Speak No Evil, I think, would be a good one that I think you guys would really enjoy.
Yeah.
But I don't know the name of it. But that one that we literally just mentioned of the girl in the basement, but the other one.
No.
Because
not doing
that one.
No.
That one is a
it's horrible.
Is a watch and a half.
It's horrible.
Yeah, no, 100%. It was when you find out it's a real 100% true story.
Yeah,
as well.
it's just no, we can't do that. No, that's like a Dan's hot pick. That's not. No,
Main feature,
I don't
guys.
even
Come
want
on.
Jess to watch it. To be honest, no.
Sorry, not allowed.
I think that settles it then. With that reaction.
So what?
Let's go.
No, it's horrible. It's mean. It's no. Nothing to enjoy about it.
Sorry, watching it.
There is nothing to enjoy about that
so
film.
mean.
It's just not horrible. Oh, God, there's got to be something we can watch.
I mean, you made me watch Swamp Ape, but all right.
Yeah, but that's fun. That's just mean. Poor girl, she's naked at one point. She's only about 10, and she or 15. I don't know. She's
I mean, the
very
actress,
old.
the actress, the actress herself, I think, was of age. But yes, there's like,
Well, she
no,
wasn't
she
meant
wasn't.
I would hope so.
Well, no, but what?
She had a load of
no.
13-year-olds. Like, oh, no, it's
Yeah.
horrible. No, we're not doing that.
Cool. Well, so we decided that one then. Let's have a vote.
Can we
I
not
don't
have
know,
any horror
We're
film?
gonna have to come up with something. We're gonna have to come up with something. I don't know. We have to. Have a
I think you
about
guys
that.
should watch Speak No Evil.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that you guys would really enjoy that, and it had such a good twist at the end that I thought, and I am interested.
Speak
I don't.
No Evil.
Yeah, I don't want them to really remake it, but then when I heard that James McAvoy's been attached to it as another famous actress as well
That's
as
a
being
foreign one, so that's
Yeah.
a Dan's hot pick as well.
What about
Have
the
main
fact
feature.
You'll
foreign
like it. You'll like it.
Anyway,
Turn on the subbies.
Let's have a think about it. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. There's other films I've watched as well. I've watched Resident Evil, that new one.
New Resident Evil?
Yeah, Raccoon City one.
Oh, is that on Netflix?
Yeah, something like that. I watched that. There's been a few. There's been a few. Okay, we'll have a think, and you know,
We'll leave the audience in anticipation. Of
in
what we do next week.
anticipation. Yeah. So,
Leave us down in the comments. Out of those two, which one do you want to watch?
no,
Vote
we
now.
don't even know what
We'll
it's
put
called.
a poll up. We'll put a poll up. Twitter.
I don't even know what it's called. Yeah, you
You don't know some film with it's mean. It's horrible.
That film that's mean.
Okay, so if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's the Bones Horror Pod. You want to email us, it's the Bones Horror Pod at gmail.com, and Facebook can still go fuck itself. And then what else are we on? Instagram. Don't really no one really posts on Instagram, do they?
I need you to send me the password. I forgot it.
So yeah. So I don't know. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, hopefully. And maybe Dan will be back as well.
I'm away the next 3 weekends. Sorry.
Oh, where are you going?
I'm at a gig next week. The week after, I'm at a festival, and the week after, I'm on a cruise.
Okay, so we might have to do it without Jess, or yeah, we're chatting. Hopefully, in a couple of weeks, we'd do an episode. So maybe we'd do that horrible one then. That They
Yeah.
generate no views on YouTube.
I can't remember when it came. It's in the 90s. It came out, I think.
I think we went from having 25,000 downloads to 15 on Possessor. I think at one point.
Yeah,
So,
Possessor didn't do well at all.
No. So,
Go watch
okay.
it. You're watching this. Watch
Yeah,
it.
it's
Watch
great.
it. Possessor.
It's
Get the
really
numbers
good
up.
episode. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching and listening, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.